if you just started riding dirt bikes and you want to figure out how do I actually maintain my dirt bike the proper way and honestly the easiest way, this video is going to break down 3 different categories on what you need to do to maintain your engine and make sure that your bike runs to its absolute best ability. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the video. Today we are going to be changing our air filter. We're going to be cleaning it. We're going to be cleaning around everything and making sure that everything's intact, obviously. And then we're also going to change our oil. I've got many requests on how do I actually maintain my bike, dude. So I figured I'd make a video. We're going to change the oil and oil filter. We're going to do a complete rundown, step-by-step process. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so for this project, in order to maintain everything the proper way, we want the right tools. So the tools we're going to need at the bare minimum, a socket and a socket driver, obviously. We're going to need that with an 8mm bolt. Normal bikes have 8mm bolts for most of their bolts on the bike, but for mine, I need an 8mm bolt, so I have that. In order to take out the bolts, I have the luxury of having an impact, so use the impact. And then you're also going to need a Allen wrench for your drain bolt. Now, if your bike is different from mine, mine's a 2023 CRF250R, and it takes an Allen head. So the Allen head bolts, they need that size right there, and that size is an 8mm size. So you're going to need that. You're going to need white lithium grease or some sort of grease to grease around your air filter. This is optional, but I like to use it and it's what I have. So grease, you're going to need some sort of air filter oil. I like Maxima Fab 1 and it works great. I've had no complaints over it. It's the greatest I've ever used. It's the best stuff. But then I like to run the stock Pro Honda GN4 oil. This is obviously off of personal preference. Some people like to run aftermarket stuff. Me personally, I like to run what goes with my bike and what the pros use. So I run this. I've never had any problems. So we run that oil. And then you're gonna need yourself a oil filter. This is a Tusk First Line oil filter. I've used these since I've owned my bike. Never had any issues. They do the job just fine. They're $3 a piece. Spend the $3 and save $5 for the OEM. So oil filters, no complaints. Water, obviously, because it's hot and we need to hydrate. And then you're going to need some sort of measuring cup to measure your oil, so you know how much you're actually putting in the thing if you don't have a dipstick, and which I don't have a dipstick, so this is very much needed. And then for your oil, you're going to need a funnel, obviously, so get you a funnel. These are the things you're going to need to fully complete this project. You're also going to need a air filter, a clean air filter. Mine's drying right now, so put an imaginary one there. So first step, we're going to tackle the oil. We're going to change the oil first. But first, what you need to do, for any bike that you have, if it isn't warm and you haven't brought it in from riding, I recommend starting it up. So we're going to start it up, let it run on idle for about 3 minutes, and then we'll turn it off so that way all the oil has worked its way through, broke loose, and all down at the bottom of the case so we can drain it out. So we're going to do that now, and I'll catch you for the next project. So we have this powered off. We got it fully warmed up for about 3 minutes. Now the next thing we're going to need is we're going to need our impact or our socket driver with a 8mm socket on it. So my bike has a skid plate on it. I have to take the skid plate off in order to change the oil, so to get to the drain bolt. So we're going to take the skid plate off and then we're going to drain the oil. So another thing you're going to need is a oil drain bucket somewhere to drain your oil. This is all personal preference, whatever you want, but I cut an old a chemical bottle in half and it works great. This will just pop off like this. Now we're going to get our drain bucket under here, our Allen head, Allen wrench, break this bolt loose. Drain our oil out. Now it's draining. We're going to let that drain, get it fully drained. We're going to tilt the bike up level, obviously. I have it on the triangle stand right now, because I don't want to get oil all over my standalone stand. So yeah, let this oil drain out and I'll get back to you. Next step, we got our oil completely drained out, the drain bolt's out of it. You can see I got every last bit of oil out. So now we're going to wipe our drain bolt off, make sure the washer on it's fine, which it is. So now, one quick note, your drain bolt is going to be located on the bottom. It's going to be probably the only bolt that's under there. So unscrew it, and if oil doesn't come out, then put it back in. But if oil comes out, then that's a telltale sign that your drain bolt. So we're gonna put this baby back in and we're gonna get it back on the stand, put the skid plate back on. But first, we need to change our oil filter. So let's change our oil filter after we get this done. So here we go. Moving on to our next step, and that's going to be changing our oil filter before we actually put new oil back in it. If you don't know what an oil filter does, it basically filters the oil. I mean, that pretty much makes the most sense, but yeah, it basically filters your oil, goes through and filters out all the bad stuff. So your engine's wearing, it takes all that metal and hopefully it makes its way through and gets in the oil filter. So here's what a clean one looks like, and then I'll show you what a dirty one looks like. So here's your oil filter. It's going to be most likely on most bikes, it's going to be on the right side of the case. Occasionally refer to your owner's manual and find it, but on this bike, on the 2023 CR250R, it's going to be on the right side right here. It's this little circular thing. You can't miss it. We're going to take out these two bolts right here, and we're just going to go ahead and do that. And be careful because oil will drain out the bottom of this, so you kind of got to be a little fast with it. So we're going to do that. We got our oil filter out. Now it, on this little cap right here, I don't know how well you guys can see it, but on this little cap, the oil filter just sits like that. So just goes in like that, but here's what it looks like dirty. See how it's kind of black? That's kind of how you know you need to change it. This is only 6 hours of run time, so you can kind of tell how hard it gets rode. So which I'm not fast at all, but it just gets rode hard. So, but yeah, so we got this one. And so now, in order to put the new one in, it's a little bit different. So I have what I like to do. Now this can kind of get a little controversial, but I take, since I have my oil already poured, I take my oil in my actual measuring cup, and I just take it and open up the top. I take this, and I just dunk her in, let it drain a little bit, and then close that baby back up. Put this on here, and just like that, we're ready to put it back in. Now the CRF250R, there's a little spring in here, so you got to be careful that that doesn't come off, which I don't think it'll go in if it does come off, but just be mindful. Now it is important with these that you don't actually have to torque them down that tight, so just get them snug, don't over tighten them because you don't want to break a bolt off. So I just got it nice and snug. So now we're going to move on to putting oil in, which is probably the easiest step in this all. So on to this step, which is filling up your oil. I recommend referring to the owner's manual to actually see how much oil you need. In this bike and in the newer bikes, they actually don't have dipsticks anymore. They refer to this little window on the side here. I don't really like doing that, so I like to get it right precise, so that way I just know and I can go to bed and go to sleep at night knowing that I have the right amount of oil in it. So refer to your owner's manual. If it's in liters, convert it to ounces or whatever your measuring cup is. Mine's in ounces, so I have to convert it to ounces. And it's about 36 ounces. So we're gonna take this off, your little oil fill cap, and we're gonna get a funnel, the funnel that we need. Put this right here, and then open the little cap to our oil thing and just pour away. See, what's nice about this is that we don't have to worry about, oh, are we filling it up too much? So I can just pour slowly and eventually it'll fill up and we know that we're good to go and I don't have to worry. I can move on to the next step and be just fine. While we're waiting for this to fill up, if you don't mind going down there and hitting that subscribe button, give it a like, share it with other people. It would really mean the world to me. We're trying to get monetized. We're so close, but yet so far. So do me a favor, subscribe if you already haven't. And go watch some videos. I mean, we'll let that funnel leak out a little more, get all the oil out of it, and then we're gonna take the funnel off, and we're good to go. So moving on to this next step, this is probably gonna be the easiest step of them all. This is the easiest thing to maintain, which I maintain my air filter every single time I ride. So, and if I'm at my house, I maintain it every other time. But so we're on the every other time rotation, and so now we got a race in this next weekend, so we're gonna maintain it. And it's super easy. Locate your side panel. It's gonna be on the left side most likely. Some bikes do have the access from the top. Just like I said, refer to your owner's manual. But We're gonna take this side panel off, and then we're gonna get the air filter out, clean around it, and then we're gonna put the new one in. So let's do this. Most bikes have like a little screw in the middle of the air filter, but this one actually has a clip, so it's really nice. I can just pop this clip up, that comes down, moves this little metal shroud out. Let's pull the air filter out, and then the entire cage and assembly comes out just like that. But this is after 2 rides. Look how dirty it is. I mean, if you have never maintained your air filter the whole time you've owned your bike, oh my God, I feel bad for your bike. So maintain your air filter, it's not hard. If you want to see how I clean it, head over to the shorts. I've done a little video on that. Super, super easy to clean an air filter. So we're gonna clean this guy and we're gonna put a new one on, and then I'll see you when I put the new one on. So installing a new air filter actually isn't the hardest thing at all, because there's this little cage that goes around it, and they just unbuckle from this. You just pull up and it pops off. So I'm gonna do that all the way around this. Dish soap. Shake it up. I just spray this guy down. Let it soak a little bit. Gonna work it in. Okay, so here comes the next step, and that's spraying your air filter, oiling it, whatever. If you oil it, you're gonna put your oil in the bag, in a little Ziploc baggie of some sort, and you're gonna just work it inside the baggie. But I have the spray. This stuff works great. We're gonna shake it up, and then we're just gonna kind of put a nice coat of spray on air filter oil. That does just fine right there. We get the inside a little bit, not too much. Okay, that's good. Now back into the shop. So when it comes to actually putting the filter on, back on itself, you have to slide this little cage over. I just slide it over like this, and you can see how all the little grooves line up, and all I have to do is pop it back on. Okay, so now we're gonna flip it over. Now this part is optional. If you ride in a place that isn't very dusty or anything, dust in the air, which I don't really know any place that's like that. So this part, I like to put a little bead of grease around here. What this does is when I put it on the actual air box, it makes a seal around the air filter, and it's not just foam. So it doesn't need to be a lot. I just put a little bead around here, just so I can have another layer of protection, I guess, against all the dust, because here where we live, tracks dry up so fast, it's so hot, and so it is crucial to have oil, grease on it. So, and I just kind of rub this grease in. Like I said, it's not really that hard to maintain a dirt bike, guys. I mean, if you know how to do it, and if you watch this video, it's gonna be super simple. So, where you guys are, you can't really see all the dirt and grime because the lighting in here isn't the best. But basically, I'm just wiping the old grease off, the old oil off that may have stuck around in the air box. That is one thing when you do oil an air filter with air filter oil in a baggie, it does tend to leak more, so just keep mind of that. I know the air filter spray that I got, it's like 15 bucks, and the oil's around the same price, so I don't really see why you wouldn't go with the spray. The spray is just amazing. It's way faster, and you kind of have some peace of mind with it too. You know where you need to get, it gets where you need to get, and all that. So, like I said, just put it in the way it came out. Super easy. Now the ones with the screws in the middle are a little harder because you don't, it's harder to find the actual threaded hole. So, but this is a lot easier. Just kind of clamps right on there. I just make sure it's clamped down, just press around the edge, kind of get that grease to stick. And yeah, so that's how you change an air filter, and that's super easy. All right, that is gonna do it for the video, guys. If you made it this far into the video, I truly do appreciate it. I think maintaining a dirt bike is quite easy myself. I don't know if it's because I've done it so much, but my goal is if you're a beginner and don't have any clue what you're doing and you watch this video, maybe you have a little bit of an idea on how to do this. If you did, drop a comment below and say, hey bro, it helped a lot. I'm gonna try this on my bike or something, just so I know that I helped you guys. So that's my main goal, is just to help people. But yeah, super great video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, hit the like, hit the subscribe, you know the deal. Thank you guys for watching. Keep grinding every single day, and I promise you'll get there. Stay humble, everybody.